Have you noticed it's getting harder to stand up without using your hands? Or that stairs feel steeper and your legs seem slower to respond than they used to? Most people think it's just age catching up. But what if that's not true? What if the weakness in your legs is your body's way of quietly telling you it's missing something important? After 60, millions of Americans start to feel unsteady, tired, or heavy in their lower body, and most never find out why. Left unchecked, this can lead to faster muscle loss, more falls, and even losing the freedom to move around on your own. But here's the part most people never hear from their doctor. 3 simple vitamins, D3, B12, and B1, may be the missing link. These aren't miracle pills, and they're not just for bone health or energy boosts. They play a direct, measurable role in keeping your legs strong, steady, and responsive. In this video, we'll walk you through 15 essential insights, beginning with the real reason your legs feel weaker and ending with a simple daily routine to help you move more confidently. You'll learn how D3 can restore balance and coordination, how B12 reconnects your nerves to your muscles, and how B1 gives your legs the energy to move without dragging. We'll cover the signs you may be running low without even knowing it, how to take each vitamin the right way, and the small daily habits that could be blocking their benefits. Whether you've struggled with leg cramps, slower reflexes, or just want to feel steadier walking across a room, this is for you. Because when you understand what your body truly needs after 60, you're not just adding years, you're adding movement, control, and the quiet confidence to keep going without hesitation. You know, a lot of people over 60 start to notice little things that didn't happen before. Maybe you felt your legs get tired just walking to the mailbox. Or you find yourself pushing up from the armrest when getting off the couch, something you never used to think twice about. For many folks, that heaviness in the legs, that moment of wobbling at the top of the stairs, feels like a normal part of aging. But here's the truth that surprises most people. It's not just age. That slow, sneaky weakness creeping into your legs may actually be your body warning you about something deeper, something fixable. See, after 60, your body starts to change in quiet ways. You're not sick, you're not injured, but deep inside your muscles, changes are happening that most people never talk about. One of those is a condition called sarcopenia, just a fancy word for age-related muscle loss. It doesn't come with pain. It doesn't show up on your face like wrinkles do. Instead, it slowly chips away at your strength, especially in the legs, where we rely on muscle power the most. And the surprising part is, it often starts long before you notice it. Maybe you used to walk fast without thinking, and now you find yourself hesitating before crossing a parking lot. Or maybe you've skipped climbing stairs not because of pain, but because they somehow feel steeper. These aren't signs that you're just getting older. They're signs that your muscles may not be getting what they need to stay strong. What many people don't realize is that certain nutrients, like vitamin D3, B12, and B1, are deeply tied to how your muscles work. Without enough of them, your legs don't respond the same. Your balance gets off. You may feel cramps at night or get tired faster during the day. And the reason this matters so much is because leg strength is one of the first things that determines how well you live later in life. Strong legs mean freedom. They mean being able to walk without fear, stand up without help, and keep doing the little things you love. Gardening, shopping, even just getting to the bathroom safely. When your legs weaken, independence starts to slip away. What's frustrating is that most people don't get this information from their regular checkups. You might get your blood pressure or blood sugar checked, but no one's talking about the quiet muscle loss happening every year. And yet, according to the American Geriatric Society, older adults lose about 1 to 3% of muscle mass every year after age 60. Over 5 years, that adds up to a lot, maybe 15% or more, and most of it is from the legs. What's worse is that this loss happens even if you're eating healthy, even if you stay somewhat active, because the real issue isn't just movement, it's whether your body has what it needs to maintain that movement. And this is where the conversation about vitamins becomes so important. You see, certain vitamins are like the quiet engine oil in a car. You don't see them, but when they're low, everything slows down, stiffens up, and starts to break. Vitamin D3, for example, plays a huge role in how your muscles contract. It also affects your balance and reflexes. Low levels of D3 don't just mean weak bones, they mean weak legs. Then there's B12, which is all about nerve function. It helps your brain talk to your muscles. Without enough B12, your legs might feel numb, shaky, or just slow to react. And B1, often forgotten, is the energy spark plug. It helps your muscles create energy from food. If your legs feel heavy or tired even after resting, B1 might be part of the picture. The tricky thing is, most of these deficiencies don't cause dramatic symptoms at first. They come on softly, a little fatigue here, a misstep there, and by the time people notice, they're already adjusting their lives. Avoiding stairs, skipping walks, asking for help standing. That's why recognizing the early signs matters. Because if you catch it early, you can often turn things around. You can rebuild strength. You can regain balance. And you can feel more like yourself again. Not overnight, but steadily. And that starts by asking new questions. Not am I just getting old? But what is my body missing? Not why are my legs so tired? But am I giving them what they need to work properly? These are the questions that lead to answers. Not just more tests or pills, but real tools that support your body from the inside. And over the next few parts of this video, we'll walk through those tools, starting with the exact reasons this happens, then diving deep into the 3 most important vitamins that could be the key to rebuilding your legs. We'll look at how they work, how to know if you're low, and the best way to take them so your body can actually use them. If you've ever thought, I just don't feel as steady as I used to, you're not alone. And you're not stuck. There's a path back to strength, and it starts with understanding why your legs have felt weaker lately. Up next, let's take a closer look at what's really behind this silent loss of strength, and why it often goes unnoticed until it's already changed your life. It's easy to assume that getting older means getting weaker. After all, we've all heard it, that's just what happens with age. But here's something worth sitting with for a moment. Losing strength, especially in your legs, isn't just aging. It's a condition, and even more importantly, it's one that can often be slowed, stopped, or even reversed. The name for this condition is sarcopenia. It sounds complicated, but all it means is this: your muscles gradually shrink and weaken over time, especially if your body isn't getting what it needs. It doesn't show up suddenly like a broken bone or a pulled muscle. It arrives quietly through small struggles that add up. You might find it harder to carry groceries, feel worn out after short walks, or notice your legs feel stiff after sitting too long. Many people describe it as just getting tired faster or feeling heavier. The truth is, these are often the first signs of a deeper issue. Sarcopenia affects millions of Americans over 60. According to researchers, it begins as early as our 40s, but really speeds up after 60, especially when our bodies start having trouble absorbing certain nutrients. What makes this condition so tricky is how slowly it creeps in. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't make noise. There's no alarm bell. Instead, it changes how you move just a little at first. A small wobble, a misstep, that moment you need to steady yourself with your hand. Over time, those moments add up. And without intervention, it can become the main reason many seniors lose their independence. What causes this to happen? In most cases, it's a combination of 3 things: vitamin deficiency, poor circulation, and lack of consistent movement. And here's the catch: none of these are truly about old age. They're about biology, nutrition, and habits. Vitamin deficiency happens because after 60, your digestive system changes. Your stomach produces less acid, which means it's harder to absorb things like vitamin D3, B12, and B1. These vitamins are essential, not optional, for maintaining muscle power, balance, and coordination. but your body has a tougher time grabbing them from food, even if your diet seems healthy. Then there's circulation. As we get older, blood doesn't move as efficiently, especially to the lower body. That means your leg muscles don't get enough oxygen and nutrients. Without that fuel, they fatigue more quickly and recover more slowly. You might feel cramping, tingling, or that weird dead weight feeling in your thighs or calves. Finally, there's movement or the lack of it. Many people start avoiding stairs or walking long distances not out of laziness, but because it simply feels harder. But the less we move, the weaker our muscles get. It's a cycle that quietly feeds itself. The good news is this: none of this is inevitable, and none of it requires extreme measures. You don't need to join a gym or take a dozen pills. You simply need to understand what your body is asking for, and give it that support in a way that's gentle, realistic, and backed by science. That's where the right vitamins come in. These aren't trendy supplements or overhyped wellness tricks. They're foundational tools your body once handled easily but now struggles to process without a little help. In the next few sections, we'll look at the 3 vitamins most seniors are lacking and why they matter so much for your legs. We'll also talk about symptoms to watch for, how to take them safely, and what kind of results real people have seen after just a few weeks. For many older adults, adding back these vitamins is like flipping a switch. It's not about building muscle like a bodybuilder. It's about waking up what's been slowly falling asleep. It's about turning heavy steps into light ones and rebuilding the confidence that comes with feeling stable and strong on your feet. One of the biggest myths out there is that there's nothing you can do once strength starts to fade. But science tells a different story. With the right support, many people begin noticing changes in just a few days to weeks. That heaviness lightens. Those stairs feel manageable. That old spark of energy comes back. Think of your muscles like a team that's been understaffed. They're still showing up. They're still trying. But without the right fuel and guidance, they struggle. Give them the nutrients they need, and they often respond with more strength than you expected. So if you've been wondering why your legs feel off lately, or why you're more tired after doing the same things you've done for years, it's time to take a closer look. Not at your age, but at what your body is missing. Because weakness isn't the end of the story. For many people, it's just the beginning of a new chapter. One where strength returns, slowly but surely, with the right care. Let's start that chapter by diving into the first of the 3 key vitamins. One that most people over 60 are low on, often without even knowing it. When someone over 60 starts to feel their legs weaken, the first thought is often, maybe I need to exercise more, or I guess this is what aging feels like. And while movement is important, the truth is far more nuanced. What many people don't realize is that the most common reasons your legs lose strength aren't because you're not trying hard enough. They're because your body's internal systems are struggling quietly. And the top 3 culprits often go undetected until you're already feeling slower, more tired, or less stable on your feet. The first overlooked trigger is vitamin deficiency. As we age, our digestive system becomes less efficient, especially when it comes to absorbing certain essential vitamins. Your stomach produces less acid, your gut lining becomes thinner, and your liver and kidneys process nutrients more slowly. This directly impacts how well you absorb vitamins like D3, B12, and B1, nutrients that are critical for muscle coordination, nerve health, and overall strength. You could eat a balanced diet and still not get enough. For example, even if you're eating fish, eggs, and dairy, you may not absorb enough vitamin D3 to make a difference in your legs. It's like trying to fill a glass with a leaky pipe. No matter how much you pour in, it never quite fills up. Over time, this leads to muscle fatigue, leg cramps, and slower reaction time. The second trigger is poor circulation, especially in the lower body. After 60, blood flow naturally slows down. Arteries may become narrower, and the pumping efficiency of the heart can dip slightly. What does this mean for your legs? It means less oxygen and fewer nutrients are delivered to your muscles. Without proper circulation, your legs can't recover from everyday use. That's why many seniors feel heavy-legged in the afternoon or experience cramps at night. Their muscles are simply undernourished and underoxygenated. Good blood flow is essential not just for energy, but also to carry away waste products that build up during muscle use. Without it, your legs feel sluggish, sore, or stiff, even without doing much. The third silent cause is reduced movement, and not always by choice. As legs grow weaker or less reliable, many people naturally start moving less. You might avoid stairs, take the elevator more often, or sit longer before getting up. It's not laziness, it's instinct. Your body avoids discomfort, but this reduced activity has a price. Muscles thrive on use. When you stop using them as often, they shrink. The brain also gets fewer signals to maintain coordination. Over time, this creates a cycle. The less you move, the weaker you become, and the weaker you are, the less you move. It's a loop that can quietly accelerate decline unless interrupted. The tricky part is, these three causes, vitamin deficiency, poor circulation, and less movement, all feed into each other. One makes the next worse. If your body isn't absorbing vitamin D3 well, your leg muscles lose tone. That makes walking harder, so you walk less. Walking less makes circulation worse, and worse circulation means even fewer nutrients get delivered. It's not just one thing, it's a silent downward spiral. But here's the powerful truth. When you identify these root causes and begin supporting your body properly, things often start to change. Not all at once, but enough to notice. That's because the body, even after 60, still responds remarkably well when it's given the right support. The key is breaking the cycle gently, consistently, and at the source. Supporting your nutrient levels doesn't just mean swallowing a random supplement. It means understanding which vitamins actually impact your legs and why. Supporting circulation doesn't mean running a marathon. It might be as simple as improving your nutrient intake and doing a 5-minute walk at the right time of day. And restoring movement doesn't mean pushing yourself hard. It means creating enough small wins that your body starts to trust itself again. For many seniors, one of the biggest shifts happens when they stop blaming age and start asking better questions. Questions like, am I giving my muscles what they need? Is my blood flow enough to keep my legs nourished? Am I moving less because of weakness or because I'm missing something deeper? These questions are powerful because they open the door to action. And in the next few parts, we'll focus on the specific answers. The vitamins that help restore strength, support circulation, and gently restart that confidence in your legs. We'll begin with the one that acts like a master switch. A nutrient your body used to make on its own when you were younger, but now struggles to maintain, and it may be the single most important key to restoring leg power. There's a quiet but powerful shift that happens in your body after the age of 60, and many people don't realize it until they've already begun to feel it. Your steps get slower. Your balance doesn't feel as steady. Climbing stairs becomes a chore, not because of pain, but because your legs just don't respond the way they used to. And for a large number of older adults, this has nothing to do with injury or arthritis. It's the result of declining levels of vitamin D3. Now, when most people hear vitamin D, they think of bone health or maybe sunlight. But vitamin D3, especially in its active form, is much more than a bone builder. It acts like a master switch inside the body, controlling how your muscles, bones, and nervous system work together. Think of it like this. Vitamin D3 is the conductor of a symphony. Without it, the instruments, your nerves, reflexes, and muscle fibers get out of sync. You might feel a second too slow when stepping off a curb or experience a wobble when turning quickly. Those little misfires aren't clumsiness. They're coordination problems tied directly to low D3 levels. And here's the thing. After 60, your body's ability to produce vitamin D3 drops significantly. Your skin becomes thinner, reducing your natural D3 production from sunlight. Your liver and kidneys, which help convert D3 into its usable form, also become less efficient. Add in less outdoor activity and more clothing coverage, and the result is simple: you're not making or absorbing enough of this critical nutrient. Studies show that up to 60% of adults over 65 have insufficient or deficient levels of vitamin D3, and the symptoms often begin with the legs. Muscle weakness, balance issues, calf cramps, and slower walking speed. But what's more surprising is how quickly this can turn around. In one clinical study at the University of Birmingham, seniors who supplemented with 800 IU of vitamin D3 per day saw their leg strength improve by nearly 20% in just 5 days. Another study in China found that combining D3 with gentle movement improved balance, posture, and stair climbing in under 3 weeks. What makes D3 so unique is how it works at the intersection of strength and control. It doesn't just help your muscles contract. It helps your nerves send the right signals at the right time. Without it, muscle fibers misfire, reflexes get dull, and everyday actions like reaching for something or standing on one foot can feel surprisingly risky. Low D3 can also lead to subtle symptoms that people often miss. Aches in the hips or knees that feel more like tired joints than injury, difficulty turning quickly, or waking up in the middle of the night with restless legs. Some even report anxiety or poor sleep, not realizing that D3 helps regulate neurotransmitters in the brain. The question many seniors ask is, how much do I need? For most adults over 60, experts recommend 800 to 1000 IU per day. If you've already experienced falls, muscle weakness, or have conditions like osteoporosis, your doctor may recommend up to 2000 IU daily. But always under supervision. And timing matters. D3 is fat-soluble, which means it's best absorbed when taken with a meal that includes healthy fats, like eggs, salmon, avocado, or olive oil. Avoid taking it at night, as it may interfere with sleep in some people. Another thing to keep in mind is bioavailability. Not all D3 supplements are created equal. Look for D3 in the form of cholecalciferol, which is the most active and easily absorbed version. And if you're someone who doesn't get out in the sun much, lives in northern regions, or wears sunscreen frequently, supplementation becomes even more important. What about food? While it's true that D3 is found in some foods like fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified milk, the amounts are small. A serving of salmon may only provide about 500 IU. A glass of milk? Just 100 IU. That's why food alone is rarely enough to meet your daily needs, especially if you're already deficient. And yes, it's possible to get too much D3, but only if you're taking over 4000 IU daily for long periods. The most common symptoms of excess are nausea, constipation, or kidney issues, but again, these are rare and usually only occur with very high doses over time. For most people, daily supplementation within the recommended range is not only safe but life-changing. Because here's what happens when your D3 levels stabilize. Your legs start to feel lighter. Your movements become smoother. You find yourself walking with more confidence, standing longer without fatigue, and recovering faster from daily activity. You may not notice the shift on day one, but within days or weeks, your body starts to respond. And what you're feeling isn't just physical. It's your system coming back online, piece by piece. Vitamin D3 doesn't make you feel younger. It helps your body do what it was designed to do. And for millions of seniors, it's one of the simplest, safest, and most affordable ways to reclaim strength that was never truly gone. Just sleeping. Next, let's take a look at the signals your body might already be sending you about D3 deficiency, and how to tell the difference between just getting older and something you can actually change. It's easy to miss the signs when your body is running low on something important, especially when those signs show up slowly over weeks or months. With vitamin D3, the warning lights are usually quiet at first, but they often show up where it matters most. In your legs. Many seniors don't even realize what's happening until they're already adapting to it. Maybe you've started avoiding stairs without thinking. Maybe you feel like your legs just don't wake up in the morning. These small adjustments feel normal until one day they aren't. One of the earliest signs of low D3 is muscle fatigue, especially in the lower body. You might feel fine sitting or lying down, but standing for long periods, walking across a parking lot, or climbing a single flight of stairs suddenly takes more effort than it should. Your legs may feel heavy, slow, or uncoordinated. This isn't just tiredness. It's your muscles struggling to contract properly, something D3 directly supports. Another subtle sign is nighttime leg cramps or restlessness, particularly in the calves. Many people describe waking up with that tight, painful twinge in the back of the leg or a dull ache that makes it hard to fall asleep. These can be signs that your muscle fibers are misfiring because they're not getting the signals they need from your nervous system, and that nervous system relies heavily on D3 to function smoothly. You might also notice issues with balance and coordination. Maybe you feel a little off when turning quickly, or catch yourself holding on to furniture more often when walking through the house. You might avoid uneven surfaces like grass or gravel not out of fear, but because your body feels just a bit uncertain. These moments are often dismissed as aging, but they're often tied to weakened reflexes and slower nerve transmission, two things that D3 helps regulate. Another overlooked symptom is general stiffness, especially after periods of rest. You wake up in the morning and your legs feel tight, or you stand up after sitting for a while and it takes a few steps to feel normal again. That delay in muscle activation can be a sign of deficiency, not just wear and tear. Some people even report mood changes, such as feeling more anxious or restless than usual. While it might seem unrelated, D3 plays a role in regulating brain chemistry and sleep quality. Low levels can subtly impact how you feel day to day, affecting your motivation to move or stay active. These symptoms don't show up all at once. Often, they appear one by one, quietly enough that you don't connect them. That's why so many people live with them for years without realizing something is off. But once you know what to look for, the pattern becomes clearer and easier to fix. A common story among seniors goes like this. I didn't feel sick, but I noticed I was sitting more. I avoided the stairs. My legs just felt different, like they belonged to someone else. These are the kinds of early clues that matter. Because when caught early, low D3 is one of the most correctable problems in senior health. Getting tested is one option. A simple blood test can show your D3 levels, but many doctors now recommend supplementing preventively, especially if you live in northern climates, spend a lot of time indoors, or already experience symptoms. And the beauty of addressing D3 early is how fast the results can come. Within just a week or two of proper supplementation, many people start noticing a change. Their legs feel lighter, movements become more natural, they sleep better, they wake up with fewer aches. And most importantly, their confidence returns, not because they feel younger, but because they feel capable again. It's worth noting that low D3 often travels alongside other deficiencies, especially B12 and B1, which we'll talk about soon. But D3 tends to be the first domino. When it falls, things start to shift quietly. And when it's corrected, your body begins rebuilding strength from the ground up. So if your legs have felt different lately, slower, stiffer, more tired than they should, don't rush to blame it on your age. Your body may simply be trying to get your attention. And now that you're listening, let's go one step deeper. In the next part, we'll explore the safest and smartest way to take vitamin D3, so that your body not only receives it, but actually puts it to work where it counts. In your balance, your strength, and your daily movement. Now that you understand how essential vitamin D3 is for muscle strength and balance, the next question becomes just as important. How do you take it correctly so it actually works? You see, many seniors start supplementing with D3 after hearing it helps, but they don't always feel a difference. And that's often not because it doesn't work, but because the form, timing, and method of taking it weren't quite right. Like any good tool, vitamin D3 only works when used properly. First, let's talk about dosage. For most people over 60, the recommended daily amount of vitamin D3 falls between 800 and 1000 IU. This is considered both effective and safe. But for those who've had falls, show signs of muscle weakness, or have conditions like osteoporosis, a doctor may suggest increasing that dose to 1,500 or even 2,000 IU per day. However, more is not always better. Too much D3, especially doses above 4,000 IU daily for long periods, can cause issues like nausea, kidney stones, or calcium imbalance. That's why it's important to stick to a smart range and, if you're going higher, to check your blood levels every 6 to 12 months. Second, timing matters. Vitamin D3 is a fat-soluble vitamin, which means your body absorbs it much better when taken with a meal that contains healthy fat. That could be breakfast with eggs, a spoonful of avocado, or even a drizzle of olive oil on your toast. Taking D3 on an empty stomach? That's one of the most common mistakes, and one of the biggest reasons people don't feel results. Another key point: avoid taking D3 at night. Some people find it interferes with sleep, since it affects calcium signaling in the brain. The best time to take it is in the morning or early afternoon, ideally with your first solid meal of the day. Now let's talk about the form of D3. You'll find it in tablets, soft gels, sprays, and drops. All can be effective if they're properly absorbed, but one form stands out for seniors. Liquid drops or soft gels tend to work better than chalky tablets, especially if you have slower digestion or trouble swallowing pills. Look for D3 labeled as cholecalciferol. That's the active, natural form your body knows how to use. Avoid D2, which is less effective and often used in older, cheaper supplements. If you're someone who also takes calcium, space it apart from your D3 by a few hours. While they work together in the body, taking large amounts of both at once can cause minor stomach upset in some people. Another thing that often surprises folks: sunlight is not enough. Yes, your skin can produce vitamin D3 from the sun, but only under the right conditions. You'd need about 15 to 30 minutes of midday sun on bare arms and legs, without sunscreen, several times a week. And after 60, your skin simply doesn't produce D3 as efficiently. Add in cloudy weather, sunscreen, long sleeves, and indoor living, and you can't count on the sun alone anymore. Food helps, but not much. A full serving of salmon? Only about 500 IU. An egg yolk? Around 40 IU. Fortified milk? Maybe 100 IU per cup. That's why, for most older adults, a small daily supplement becomes the most reliable source. It fills in the gaps that diet and sunlight can no longer cover. For people with digestive issues like IBS or slow metabolism, it may take a little longer to feel results. But with consistency, taking it the same time each day with fat, you give your body the best shot to rebuild what it's been missing. Over time, most people begin to notice their legs feeling lighter, their balance improving, and their recovery after activity becoming smoother. The science supports this, but even more compelling are the stories from people who've lived it. Seniors who thought they were just getting slower start walking with more confidence. People who needed a hand to stand begin rising from chairs on their own again. It's not magic. It's just biology restored. Before we move on, one final safety reminder. If you're taking blood thinners, diuretics, or have kidney conditions, talk to your doctor before starting any high-dose D3. While it's safe for most people, interactions can happen in specific cases. And again, blood testing every 6 to 12 months is a good idea, especially if you're supplementing long-term. So, taking vitamin D3 the right way isn't complicated, but it is crucial. Right dose, right time, right form, right combination with food. These small details can be the difference between I tried it and nothing happened and I feel stronger than I have in years. And now that we've explored this vital first vitamin, let's move forward to the second piece of the puzzle: one that's just as important for stability and leg strength, but works in a very different way. It's time to talk about vitamin B12, the nutrient that reconnects your brain to your legs and helps restore the confidence that comes from knowing every step will land exactly where you want it to. There's something unsettling about not feeling fully connected to your own legs. You go to stand up, and there's a pause, like your muscles didn't get the message in time. Or you walk across a room and feel the slightest wobble, not from weakness, but from something you can't quite describe. For many people over 60, this isn't just about aging. It's a sign that your body may be running low on vitamin B12, one of the most important nutrients for keeping your movements sharp, your balance steady, and your nervous system working smoothly. Unlike vitamin D3, which works mostly with your muscles and bones, B12's job is more like a communications expert. It helps your brain talk to your muscles, especially the ones in your legs. Without enough B12, the signals between your brain, spinal cord, and limbs slow down. That delay might only be a split second, but it's enough to throw off your balance, reaction time, and confidence with every step. Most people think of B12 as the energy vitamin or something that helps with memory, and it does. But for seniors, its role in movement and coordination is just as critical. One of the key things B12 does is support the creation of myelin, a protective coating that wraps around your nerves. Think of myelin like the insulation on a wire. It helps nerve signals travel quickly and accurately. When B12 levels drop, that insulation starts to wear down. And just like a frayed wire, the signals don't get through properly. That's when you might start feeling strange sensations in your feet, like tingling, burning, or numbness. Some describe it as walking on cotton or having socks on even when barefoot. Others feel their legs moving but not fully under their control, like there's a slight delay between thinking and moving. This isn't weakness, it's miscommunication, and it's often B12 at the center of it. One of the most alarming things about B12 deficiency is how easily it's overlooked. You might feel a little more tired than usual, a bit unsteady or mentally foggy. And because it doesn't hurt, and the changes come gradually, people often go years without realizing something's wrong. But B12 deficiency is shockingly common in people over 60. That's because, just like with vitamin D3, your body's ability to absorb B12 from food declines with age. Stomach acid plays a key role in releasing B12 from the protein in foods like meat, eggs, or dairy. But after 60, acid production drops, and even more so if you're taking acid-reducing medications for heartburn or reflux. That means you could be eating well and still not absorbing enough B12. And if you're vegetarian or eat very little meat or dairy, your intake might be too low in the first place. Research from Oxford University showed that seniors with low B12 levels walked more slowly, had poorer balance, and were twice as likely to fall over the following year. Another study in the Journal of Geriatric Science found that adults who supplemented with 1,000 micrograms of B12 daily for 8 weeks improved their walking speed, lower body strength, and even mood. That's because B12 doesn't just support physical coordination. It also helps your body produce red blood cells, which carry oxygen to your muscles. More oxygen means better endurance, quicker reflexes, and stronger legs overall. So how do you know if your B12 might be low? Aside from balance and leg symptoms, other clues include persistent fatigue, mild depression, forgetfulness, or feeling a bit foggy or off mentally. These signs may be subtle, but when they show up together, it's worth paying attention. Luckily, supplementing with B12 is simple, safe, and highly effective. Unlike some other vitamins, B12 is water-soluble, which means your body uses what it needs and flushes out the rest, making it very hard to overdose. We'll go deeper into the exact dosage and timing in the next part, but know this: for many people, just a few weeks of consistent B12 intake leads to noticeable changes, steadier steps, clearer thinking, and a surprising return of that light, confident feeling in the legs. Imagine going from shuffling across the kitchen to walking across a parking lot without hesitation. That's the kind of shift B12 can unlock. Not overnight, but steadily, safely, and in a way that lasts. So if your legs have been feeling disconnected, if you've noticed more stumbles, or if you've been quietly worrying about falling, it's time to explore this critical nutrient more deeply. Because your body isn't broken, it's just waiting to be reconnected. And that connection starts with something as small as a B12 tablet. One of the hardest parts about vitamin B12 deficiency is that it doesn't show up all at once. It starts quietly, in ways most people don't connect to a nutrient problem. You might feel a strange tingling in your feet at night, or notice that when you stand up too quickly, your legs feel off. Not exactly weak, but not fully steady either. Some people describe it like their legs don't belong to them anymore, as if there's a layer of distance between what the brain wants to do and how the body responds. These are not just random feelings, they are classic signs of B12 deficiency, especially in adults over 60. One of the most common symptoms is numbness or a pins and needles feeling in the feet, toes, or calves. This usually happens because the protective coating around your nerves, called myelin, has begun to break down. Without enough B12 to keep it healthy, nerve signals can get distorted or lost. That's when walking starts to feel strange, or your feet feel asleep more often than they used to. Another subtle but powerful sign is wobbling or poor balance, especially when walking on uneven ground or turning quickly. You may not fall, but you feel less confident with each step. You might start holding the railing more often, taking shorter steps, or avoiding places where the ground isn't flat. These changes may feel small at first, but they can lead to bigger lifestyle shifts like walking less, staying home more, or giving up certain activities. Not because you want to, but because your body feels unsure. Other physical symptoms include burning sensations, especially in the soles of the feet, or muscle weakness that's not explained by joint pain or arthritis. Some people also notice a strange sensation of light pressure on their feet, as if there's something stuck under them when there's nothing there. These are all signals from the nerves that the communication line between your brain and body isn't working properly. But B12 deficiency doesn't stop at physical symptoms. It can also show up as mental fog, mild forgetfulness, low energy, or even mood changes. You might feel a little more anxious or down than usual, or notice that your focus just isn't what it used to be. Some people describe it as being in a haze. These mental effects happen because B12 is also essential for brain chemistry, especially for producing serotonin and other mood-regulating chemicals. If you've been feeling more tired than usual but still sleeping well, if your memory seems slower, but you're not stressed, if you're noticing odd sensations in your legs but your doctor says everything looks fine, it may be time to consider whether B12 could be part of the picture. Many older adults are at risk for low B12 even if they eat 3 meals a day. That's because, as we age, the stomach's ability to release B12 from food declines. And if you take acid-reducing medications, metformin, or have digestive issues like reflux or IBS, your absorption can be even lower. Vegetarians and those who eat little meat or dairy are especially vulnerable, since B12 is found mostly in animal products like eggs, fish, meat, and milk. Even with a healthy diet, the body may simply not be pulling enough B12 from what you eat. The good news is that once you spot these symptoms, correcting them can bring real relief. B12 is one of the safest supplements to take. Your body uses what it needs and naturally flushes out the rest. In studies, seniors who began supplementing regularly showed improved walking speed, better muscle coordination, and fewer symptoms of numbness and imbalance. Some even reported better sleep and a clearer sense of energy within just 2 to 3 weeks. Of course, the key is consistency, and we'll talk more about that in the next section. For now, the important thing to remember is this. If your legs have been feeling strange, if you've had moments where your balance surprised you, your steps felt unsure, or your feet tingled without reason, it's not something to ignore or push through. It could be your body's way of quietly saying, I'm low on something important. And that something might just be vitamin B12. In the next part, we'll walk through how to take B12 in a way that your body can actually absorb and use, so you can start feeling the difference not just in your legs, but in your entire sense of control, clarity, and confidence. If you've been noticing signs of low B12, like unsteady walking, numbness in your feet, or a strange feeling of disconnect between your brain and legs, there's some good news. Vitamin B12 is one of the easiest deficiencies to correct, and when taken the right way, many people start to feel the difference within just a few days or weeks. But here's the catch. Not all B12 supplements are created equal, and when you take it matters just as much as how much. So let's break this down in a simple way, starting with the form. The most effective type of B12 for older adults is called methylcobalamin. It's the active form, which means your body doesn't have to convert it. It can use it right away. This is especially important after age 60, when the body's ability to convert inactive B12, like cyanocobalamin, starts to decline. You'll find methylcobalamin in several forms: chewable tablets, sublingual lozenges, oral sprays, and slow-dissolve tablets. For seniors, sublingual or dissolvable options tend to be the most effective, since they bypass the digestive system and are absorbed directly through the lining of the mouth. If you've had digestive issues or take acid-reducing medications, this can make a big difference. Next comes timing. The best time to take B12 is in the morning or early afternoon, right after a light meal. Taking it with food helps stabilize your energy and avoid any jittery feeling that occasionally happens when someone takes B12 on an empty stomach. It also gives your body a consistent fuel source to put that B12 to work. You'll want to avoid taking it with coffee or tea, especially right after swallowing, as caffeine can interfere with absorption. Instead, a glass of water or herbal tea works perfectly. As for dosage, most experts recommend 500 to 1,000 micrograms mcg per day for seniors who are supplementing regularly. If your levels are already low or you've experienced symptoms like numbness or weakness, your doctor might recommend 1,000 micrograms daily for a few months, followed by a lower maintenance dose. Because B12 is water-soluble, any extra is flushed out in the urine, making it extremely safe, even at high doses. However, if you have chronic kidney disease or take blood thinners, it's still smart to check with your doctor first. What most people find is that with consistent use, symptoms begin to shift. The numbness may fade. Your steps feel quicker. You stand up from a chair more easily. That subtle brain fog clears. You notice that you're walking a little farther without needing to stop and rest. And these aren't just anecdotes. There's strong science behind them. In a randomized trial published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition, older adults who took 1,000 micrograms of B12 daily for 8 weeks showed significant improvements in lower body strength, walking stability, and nerve response time. Other studies have confirmed that combining B12 supplementation with gentle movement, like walking or light balance exercises, amplifies the benefits even further. Now, some people ask, can I just get B12 from food? In theory, yes, but in practice, it's tough. A serving of salmon gives you about 4.5 micrograms. A glass of milk? Only 1 microgram. A large egg contains 0.5 micrograms. You'd need to eat large portions of animal-based foods every single day to reach the levels your body likely needs. Something most seniors simply don't do, especially those with smaller appetites or digestive concerns. That's why daily supplementation becomes the most practical, reliable method. And the key to success is to make it a habit. Set your B12 next to your breakfast plate. Tie it to something you already do each day, like brushing your teeth or preparing your coffee. Just don't take it with the coffee. The consistency matters more than perfection. What you'll likely find is that after a few weeks, the changes sneak up on you. You're not as winded after walking across the grocery store. You're less nervous about losing your balance on the stairs. That lingering brain fog starts to lift. You feel steadier both physically and emotionally. And it all comes from supporting the tiny communication pathways that keep your brain and legs connected. As always, if you're taking other medications, check for interactions. But for most people, B12 is one of the safest and most rewarding additions they can make to their routine after 60. And now that we've covered how to restore the nerve-to-muscle connection, it's time to address the third and final vitamin in this trio, vitamin B1. This one doesn't get as much attention, but for many people, it turns out to be the missing link in unlocking energy, coordination, and the ability to move through the day without dragging your feet. If you've ever walked up a short flight of stairs and felt like your legs were made of stone, or if you've noticed your legs fatiguing halfway through the grocery store, that deep, dragging heaviness might not just be aging. It might be your body trying to function without enough vitamin B1, also known as thiamine. While it doesn't get as much attention as D3 or B12, B1 plays a critical role in how your body turns food into usable energy. In fact, every single movement you make, from standing to walking to simply flexing your toes, relies on cellular energy called ATP, and B1 is the vitamin that helps make that energy possible. Think of B1 as the spark plug in an engine. Even if the engine itself is strong, and the wiring is all in place, if there's no spark, nothing turns on. That's what happens when you're low on B1. Your muscles may still be healthy, but they're not firing with the power or endurance they used to. The result? Your legs feel heavy. Walking becomes slower. Even short tasks leave you feeling drained. And unlike soreness, this fatigue doesn't always go away with rest, because the problem isn't overuse, it's undernourishment at the cellular level. Vitamin B1 also helps with nerve transmission, especially to the lower limbs. That means it supports not only strength, but timing and coordination, helping your legs move smoothly and in sync with your brain. When B1 is low, many people start feeling off, not dizzy exactly, but unsteady. Some describe feeling like they're walking through mud. Others feel mentally foggy or emotionally flat, without knowing why. These are all signals that your body's energy system is stalling. What causes B1 deficiency? Several things. First, as with many vitamins, absorption declines with age. Your gut becomes less efficient at pulling B1 from food. Second, common medications can interfere. Diuretics, often prescribed for high blood pressure or heart conditions, flush B1 out through your urine. Metformin, used for diabetes, also blocks B1 absorption. Third, even small amounts of daily alcohol, like a glass of wine or beer with dinner, can impair B1 absorption in older adults. Add to this the fact that many modern diets are low in whole grains and legumes, the main natural sources of B1, and it's easy to see why many seniors unknowingly run low. The symptoms often begin in the legs. Quick fatigue during walking, a sluggish or dragging feeling, or cramping in the calves and feet. Some people feel dizzy when standing, or have moments where their legs hesitate before responding. Mentally, B1 deficiency can also bring low motivation, brain fog, irritability, or a vague sense of not feeling quite right. One important study from the University of Tokyo found that over 30% of seniors tested had low B1 levels, and those who supplemented showed rapid improvement in walking speed, stair climbing, and daily energy. In another study published in the Journal of Neurological Science, patients given 100 milligrams of B1 per day saw improved stamina and reduced leg heaviness in just 1 week. So how do you get enough B1 to feel the difference? The standard recommendation is about 3.2 milligrams per day for men and 1.1 milligrams for women. But for those with symptoms or absorption issues, doctors often recommend a therapeutic dose of 50 to 100 milligrams per day. Like B12, B1 is water-soluble, so any excess is flushed out in your urine, making it extremely safe even at higher doses. You can find it in B-complex supplements, but it's important to read the label and make sure thiamine is listed as thiamine mononitrate or thiamine hydrochloride, both well-absorbed forms. The best time to take B1 is in the morning, preferably with a meal that includes a bit of fat or protein like yogurt, eggs, or soy milk. Avoid taking it with coffee or black tea, which can interfere with absorption. And while B1 is found naturally in foods like brown rice, oats, lentils, sunflower seeds, and pork, it's difficult to get enough through diet alone. especially for people with poor appetite, digestive issues, or medication interference. That's why a simple daily supplement can make a major difference. For many people, it's like flipping on a switch they didn't know had been turned off. They feel more awake, not jittery, but clear. Their legs don't feel as weighed down. They move more without thinking about it. And that ease builds momentum. The more you move, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the more confident you feel. And all of that starts with providing your cells the fuel they've been quietly asking for. In the next part, we'll talk about how to recognize these subtle early signs that your legs might be starving for fuel, and what to do if you're seeing them show up in your own daily life. Have you ever walked just a short distance and felt like you'd gone miles? Or maybe you sat down for a break and, when it was time to get back up, your legs felt like they'd aged 10 years in the past hour. This kind of deep, lingering fatigue, especially in the legs, isn't always from overuse. In fact, it's often the opposite. For many older adults, that heavy, tired feeling is a signal that your muscles aren't getting the fuel they need to function properly. And the key fuel they're missing might be vitamin B1, also known as thiamine. The thing is, when we talk about fueling muscles, people often think of protein or calories. But without enough B1, your body can't convert food into usable energy, no matter how much you eat. Every movement you make, from a simple step to lifting a grocery bag, relies on a cellular energy process called the Krebs cycle, and B1 is the vitamin that makes that cycle go. When it's low, the whole system starts to slow. Muscles don't get the ATP they need.
Nervesignalslag.
And your legs start to feel sluggish, even if they're technically strong. So what are the signs that your muscles are running on empty? One of the first is quick fatigue after light activity. You might feel fine at rest, but walking to the mailbox or standing at the kitchen counter wears you out faster than it used to. You rest, but don't feel fully recharged. Another clue is a heavy or dragging feeling in the legs, especially in the thighs or calves. You may describe your steps as slow, uneven, or like you're pulling extra weight. This isn't just a strength issue, it's your body rationing energy because it doesn't have enough to spare. Some people also experience leg cramps, pins and needles, or tightness in the feet or ankles. These can show up during the day, or even more commonly at night. They're not caused by dehydration. They're the result of tired muscles that can't fully relax or contract the way they should. More subtle signs of B1 deficiency include mental fatigue, low motivation, or a vague sense of just feeling off. You may have trouble getting started in the morning, not because you're sleepy, but because your system feels sluggish, like it's not quite awake. Some people even notice loss of appetite, mild dizziness, or a sensation of being slightly detached from their body's rhythm. Over time, these little changes can lead to bigger lifestyle shifts. You move less, avoid long walks, sit more, and slowly begin adjusting your world to fit the limits of your energy. Not because you want to, but because your body just doesn't feel up for it. That's the real risk of missing the early signs. The longer you go without enough B1, the more the body adapts to low performance. But what's powerful about this situation is how quickly things can change when B1 levels are restored. In clinical studies, seniors who started B1 supplementation, typically at 50 to 100 milligrams per day, saw improvements in walking ability, stair climbing endurance, and overall energy in as little as 7 days. Their legs didn't just feel stronger, they felt more alive. That feeling of heaviness started to fade. Steps became smoother. Movement felt more natural. And that sparked the return of something even more valuable, motivation. Because when your body feels better, your mind follows. You're more likely to get up, to move, to engage. You stop fearing fatigue and start trusting your legs again. It's important to remember that this isn't about pushing yourself harder. It's about giving your body the raw material it's been missing so it can do what it's meant to do. Many people don't need more effort, they need better fuel. So if you've been feeling worn out from basic tasks, or your legs seem to quit before the rest of you does, take a step back and ask, am I running on an empty tank? Has my body been quietly asking for more energy, and I just didn't hear it? The good news is now you know what to look for. And in the next section, we'll talk about the most practical ways to safely and effectively add B1 back into your routine without having to overhaul your diet or lifestyle. Because sometimes the smallest fix can unlock the biggest return in how you feel each day. By the time most people start thinking about vitamin B1, their body has already been quietly struggling for a while. The signs may have crept in gradually: tired legs, slow walking speed, less motivation to move. And now that you've learned how vital B1 is for fueling your muscles and nerves, the next step is making sure you take it in a way that works for your body, especially if you've got a sensitive stomach or are managing other health issues. Fortunately, thiamine is one of the safest and most well-tolerated vitamins, even for older adults dealing with indigestion, reflux, or irregular eating patterns. But there are a few things to keep in mind to make sure you're getting the full benefit without discomfort. Let's start with form. Thiamine usually comes in the form of thiamine hydrochloride or thiamine mononitrate, both of which are effective and well absorbed. For people with sensitive digestion, low-dose, slow-release tablets or liquid drops can be especially gentle, avoiding the bloating or queasiness that sometimes happens when taking multiple B-complex vitamins together. If you've had trouble swallowing pills or tend to feel nauseous with standard tablets, sublingual, under the tongue, forms are a great option. They bypass the stomach entirely and absorb directly into the bloodstream. Next is timing. The best time to take B1 is in the morning, ideally with a light meal that includes a healthy fat or protein source like eggs, oatmeal with nuts, or yogurt. Taking thiamine on an empty stomach can sometimes cause mild nausea in sensitive individuals. Not because the vitamin is harsh, but because your body has nothing to help buffer the absorption. A small breakfast or even a slice of whole grain toast can make all the difference. Also important, avoid pairing B1 with coffee or strong tea. Caffeine and certain tannins can interfere with vitamin absorption and may contribute to stomach discomfort. If you drink coffee in the morning, try taking your B1 supplement at least 30 to 60 minutes after your last sip, or have it with a different beverage like water or a mild herbal tea. Many people take their B1 right after breakfast, once the stomach is settled and the digestive system is gently active. If you're taking multiple medications like metformin, diuretics, or heart medications, you'll want to be strategic about timing. These drugs can flush B1 out of your system faster, which increases your need for it, but taking all your pills at once may crowd your stomach and increase discomfort. A practical approach is to take B1 mid-morning, between meals, or at lunch. Just don't let it compete with strong medications unless advised by your doctor. Another question that comes up is how much is too much? The therapeutic range for older adults with symptoms of deficiency is typically 50 to 100 milligrams per day. That might sound like a lot, especially since the basic daily recommendation is around 1 to 2 milligrams. But remember, B1 is water-soluble, meaning your body uses what it needs and safely eliminates the rest in urine. There are no known toxic effects, even at higher doses. Still, if you're underweight, have chronic kidney or liver issues, or are taking several medications, it's smart to start on the lower end of that range and adjust upward based on how you feel, or speak with your provider for guidance. Some seniors wonder if they should get B1 from food alone. While foods like brown rice, oats, lentils, pork, and sunflower seeds are excellent natural sources, the truth is that many older adults simply don't eat enough of these foods daily to reach therapeutic levels, especially if appetite is low or digestion is slow. That's why supplementing is often the most reliable path, especially when early symptoms have already started showing up. For those managing multiple health conditions, consistency is key. Set a routine that matches your existing habits, whether it's placing your supplement near your toothbrush, by your morning coffee station, with a reminder not to take it with coffee, or next to your daily pill organizer. The goal isn't perfection. It's routine, gentle repetition. The more days in a row your body receives B1, the more steadily it can rebuild energy at the cellular level. And while B1 acts quickly, don't expect everything to change overnight. Most people notice subtle improvements after 5 to 7 days. Maybe their legs don't get tired as fast, or their balance feels a little more secure. By the end of 2 to 3 weeks, that new stability can become your new normal. If you've been struggling with chronic leg fatigue, B1 can feel like your system has been rebooted, like your muscles are finally getting the green light they've been waiting for. And perhaps just as important as the physical shift is the emotional one. When you start trusting your body again, when your legs follow through without hesitation, it changes how you move through your day. You're more likely to get up, to walk farther, to go back to the things you've been avoiding. That sense of "I can do this" quietly returns. And it all starts with something as small and simple as a vitamin you take with your breakfast. In the next part, we'll talk about what happens when you bring all 3 vitamins together, D3, B12, and B1, into one daily routine. Because while each one is powerful on its own, the real transformation comes when they work together to restore strength, balance, and confidence from the inside out. Now that we've explored how vitamin D3 boosts your muscle coordination, how B12 reconnects your brain to your legs, and how B1 fuels every movement with steady energy, it's time to answer the question most people ask at this point. How do I take all 3 together for real, lasting results without overthinking or overwhelming my routine? The good news is, combining these vitamins doesn't require a complicated schedule or dozens of pills. In fact, the most effective approach is often the simplest. Create one small, repeatable daily habit that gives your body the support it needs at the right time of day, in the right form, and in the right combination. Think of it like a morning tune-up for your legs. Fuel, ignition, and control all working together. Let's start with the best time of day. Your body absorbs and uses these vitamins best when they're taken earlier in the day, ideally between breakfast and lunch. This is because vitamin D3 and B1 can sometimes feel energizing. Taking them at night might disrupt sleep in sensitive individuals. B12, especially, supports daytime focus and coordination, so it's most effective when your body is active. Start your morning with a simple breakfast. Maybe a boiled egg, a piece of whole grain toast with nut butter, or a bowl of oatmeal with sliced banana. Add in a bit of healthy fat like olive oil, avocado, or full-fat yogurt if possible, as vitamin D3 is fat-soluble and needs fat to absorb properly. Right after your meal, take 1 soft gel or drop of vitamin D3. Look for a dosage between 800 and 1000 IU for general support, or up to 2000 IU if you've been advised by a doctor or have had falls, balance issues, or osteoporosis. Pair it with 1 sublingual B12 tablet, 500 to 1000 micrograms methylcobalamin, letting it dissolve slowly under your tongue to ensure optimal absorption. This avoids relying on stomach acid, which may already be low. Finally, take 1 B1 supplement in the range of 50 to 100 milligrams, ideally in a slow dissolve or coated form to be gentle on the stomach. This combination forms your core leg strengthening stack. D3 tells your muscles and nerves to wake up and start functioning again. B12 sharpens the signal from your brain down to your feet. B1 keeps your muscles energized, smooth, and fatigue-resistant. Taken together, they create a kind of synergy, each one making the others more effective by supporting the full chain of movement from intention to action. But here's where the real magic happens: consistency over time. Most people don't feel dramatic changes overnight. Instead, they begin to notice subtle shifts by the end of the first week. Getting out of a chair feels a little easier, legs feel less stiff in the morning, that hesitation at the top of the stairs begins to fade. By week 2, steps become more confident. You're not clinging to furniture. You move through the house with less mental effort. Tasks that used to require breaks, like standing to cook, folding laundry, or walking down the driveway, start to feel doable again. By week 3 or 4, many people describe something more emotional: relief. not just because their legs feel stronger, but because they no longer feel stuck in that quiet decline that snuck up on them. They feel in control again. They can trust their body again. That confidence opens the door to walking more, exercising gently, and rebuilding independence from the ground up. Some people wonder if they can just take a multivitamin and be done with it. They allow the B12 to enter your bloodstream directly through the mouth lining, avoiding the low-acid environment of the stomach. Another common blocker is alcohol, even in small amounts. A glass of wine with dinner, a beer on the weekend. These habits may seem harmless, but alcohol directly interferes with thiamine, B1, absorption, and also makes your kidneys excrete more of it. Even light drinking over time can lower your B1 levels to the point where fatigue and leg weakness start to set in. If B1 is part of your recovery plan, consider reducing alcohol to occasional use or spacing it far from your supplement window to give your body a better shot at absorbing what it needs. Skipping meals or taking supplements on an empty stomach can also reduce how well they work. Vitamin D3, for example, is fat-soluble. Without a small amount of dietary fat like avocado, olive oil, eggs, or nuts, it can pass right through without being absorbed. That's why it's so important to pair your D3 with breakfast or lunch that includes even a little healthy fat. B1 and B12, while water-soluble, also absorb better when taken with food because they're less likely to irritate the stomach lining and are more likely to remain in the digestive tract long enough to be absorbed. A small meal goes a long way. Another issue is inconsistent timing. Many people forget to take their supplements for a few days, then double up later thinking they can catch up. Unfortunately, vitamins don't work like that. Your body needs a steady supply, not a flood. For D3, regular intake helps maintain blood levels that support muscle and bone function. For B12 and B1, consistency is what allows nerve pathways and energy cycles to stay supported each day. One missed day won't break the cycle, but if your routine is off more than it's on, your body may never get the rhythm it needs to repair. Also, be cautious with high-dose multivitamins that combine too many things at once. Some formulas include calcium, iron, magnesium, zinc, and more all in one pill. While these nutrients are all important, they can sometimes compete for absorption in the gut, especially when taken together. Calcium, for instance, can interfere with D3 absorption. Iron can block zinc. If your multivitamin includes B12, but it's competing with half a dozen minerals, you may not be getting much benefit. That's why many older adults find better results using separate supplements for their key concerns, like D3 for balance, B12 for nerve health, and B1 for energy, rather than one crowded pill that tries to do it all. Lastly, don't overlook hydration. Water is often forgotten in the conversation around vitamins, but it plays a central role in transporting nutrients through the bloodstream, especially for water-soluble vitamins like B1 and B12. If your water intake is low, something very common among seniors, you might be reducing the effectiveness of everything you take. Aim for small sips throughout the day, especially in the morning and early afternoon when your body is absorbing nutrients most actively. So to sum it up gently, you could be doing everything right in terms of taking your supplements, but if you're also drinking coffee with them, skipping meals, or taking them at irregular times, your body may not be getting the full benefit. The good news? These are all easy habits to adjust. You don't need to give anything up entirely. You just need to be a little more mindful of the timing and pairings. Once you make these small changes, waiting a bit after coffee, taking your vitamins with breakfast, keeping a consistent schedule, your body begins to respond more fully. That means steadier legs, clearer thoughts, and more energy to do the things that bring you joy. And when you've put in the effort to support your system with the right nutrients, it's worth making sure nothing stands in their way. In the next part, we'll pull everything together with a gentle, daily plan that helps you move forward with confidence, without overwhelm or complication. A step-by-step way to rebuild strength, not just for today, but for the years ahead. After exploring the science behind D3, B12, and B1, how each one helps restore strength, balance, and energy in the legs. It's time to bring everything together into a clear, simple routine that you can follow every day without stress. This isn't a strict schedule or a long list of tasks. It's a gentle rhythm, something you can ease into that supports your body where it needs it most, without adding pressure or confusion. The goal isn't perfection. It's consistency, kindness, and awareness. And it starts the moment you wake up. Mornings are powerful. They set the tone for your nervous system, your digestion, and your energy flow throughout the day. So begin gently. When you first open your eyes, take a few moments to stretch just in bed. Wiggle your toes. Rotate your ankles. Take a deep breath. This small act helps reconnect your brain with your lower body and signals that movement is coming. It may seem minor, but this first hello to your legs each morning reawakens awareness and circulation in places that tend to stiffen overnight. Next, prepare a light but balanced breakfast. This is where your vitamin routine begins. Choose foods that support absorption without overwhelming your digestion. A boiled egg, a piece of whole grain toast with nut butter, or oatmeal with a few almonds are all excellent options. If you enjoy smoothies, add a spoonful of yogurt or a slice of avocado to introduce healthy fat. This will help your vitamin D3 absorb more effectively. Right after breakfast is the best time to take your vitamins. Start with one soft gel or drop of vitamin D3, between 800 to 1000 IU, or as advised by your doctor. This sets the stage for stronger muscles, smoother reflexes, and better coordination. Next, take a sublingual B12 tablet, preferably methylcobalamin, and let it dissolve slowly under your tongue. This ensures it bypasses the stomach and enters the bloodstream directly. Especially important if you're taking acid-reducing medications or have a sensitive gut. Finally, take your vitamin B1, thiamine, ideally 50 to 100 milligrams with water. This provides the energy foundation your muscles need to move all day without dragging or stalling. This entire step, breakfast and supplementation, can take less than 20 minutes, but the ripple effects are powerful. You've now given your body the fuel, signal, and coordination it needs for the day. Mid-morning is the perfect time for light movement. No need for a workout. Even a short walk around your home, a few minutes of standing while folding laundry, or a gentle march in place helps circulate the nutrients you just gave your body. If you're able, step outside and feel the sunlight for 5 or 10 minutes. Just being in daylight supports your body's natural D3 rhythms and can gently lift your mood. Around lunch, repeat the same awareness. Eat slowly, chew thoroughly, and stay hydrated. Many people find that drinking sips of water throughout the day, especially between meals, helps reduce cramps and improves the overall effectiveness of B1 and B12. Avoid large amounts of coffee or tea right after your supplements. And if you do enjoy a warm drink, try an herbal blend that won't block absorption. In the afternoon, if energy allows, move again. Not with intensity, but with intention. Walk to check the mail. Do a light stretch near a window. If you've been sitting, stand up slowly, roll your shoulders, and bring awareness to how your legs are feeling. These small check-ins keep the mind and body connected, helping reinforce stability and confidence with every step. If you notice shakiness or hesitation, don't worry. Those are signs your body is adjusting, and they will fade with time as the nutrients begin rebuilding the communication lines between your brain and limbs. As the evening arrives, focus on winding down, but do it mindfully. A warm shower or bath can help loosen any stiffness in the calves or thighs, especially for those who experience nighttime leg cramps. Gentle massage with your hands or a warm cloth over the feet and ankles can also help bring blood flow to the area and release tension. Dinner should be light but nourishing. Lean protein, cooked vegetables, and a small serving of whole grains offer a calming end to the day without overwhelming your digestion. You may notice, with consistent B vitamin intake, that your sleep starts improving too. This is no accident, Both B1 and B12 influence neurotransmitters related to relaxation and deep rest. Right before bed, take a quiet moment to reflect. Not a checklist, just a thought. Did I move today? Did I feel a little more stable? Did my steps feel more connected than they did last week? These small reflections help track progress in a kind and personal way. Even if the change feels small, it's there. And over weeks, those small steps become big shifts. And what if you miss a day? Nothing breaks. There's no shame. You simply begin again the next morning, just like you always do. Your body doesn't need perfection. It needs reliable care, gently offered, day after day. That's how strength returns, not with force, but with quiet support that builds from the inside out. This simple daily plan isn't just about vitamins. It's about rebuilding trust between your mind and your body, about showing up for yourself each day with a little structure, a little movement, and a lot of grace. And when you do, something incredible starts to happen. Your legs begin to feel like your own again. You walk without fear. You rise without hesitation. You move through life with quiet power. In the final part of this journey, we'll take a step back and reflect on everything we've covered, summarizing the big picture and leaving you with one clear message: that strength isn't gone. It's just been waiting for the right care to return. Sometimes the smallest changes lead to the biggest shifts, and by taking this quiet journey through your body, through the way your legs move, how your nerves communicate, and how energy flows from head to toe, you've gently explored something deeper than just vitamins. You've taken time to reconnect with your own strength, to remember that even after 60, your body hasn't stopped working. It's just been asking for a bit more attention, a little more care. What you've heard today wasn't just about nutrients or routines. It was a reminder that the power to feel steady, confident, and alive again often starts from within, with steps so gentle you hardly notice them until one day movement feels easier, your breath feels deeper, and you trust your legs again without thinking about it. Imagine waking up tomorrow and giving your body a few quiet moments before the day begins. Stretching in bed, sipping a warm herbal tea, and choosing a healthy breakfast that supports the life you still want to live. These aren't chores. They're signals to yourself that you still matter, that your well-being deserves space and rhythm. Just like a garden doesn't bloom from force, but from sunlight and time, your strength returns with quiet consistency. You don't need to do everything. You only need to begin with one small, loving habit, something your future self will thank you for. And in that process, you might also show someone younger, your child, your grandchild, that aging doesn't mean fading. It means learning to listen in a new way. Let this moment be a turning point, not with urgency, but with peace. Your legs were never gone. They were simply waiting for your care to return. Let that be the image you carry into tomorrow.